Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD program, application and website development, and in particular the AWD 1111.NET Framework with Web Databases class, for the fall 2019 semester, I'm creating a series of video presentations for the textbook that will be used for the AWD 1111 class, that being Pro ASP.NET MVC 5, an A-Press text by Mr. Adam Freeman. I'm working my way through the book, and I am on Chapter 21 of 27. And I'm on the bottom of page 606, specifying the route used by a form. And as the author says here, when you use the begin form method, the MVC framework finds the first route that can be used to generate a URL. In essence, you're leaving the routing selection to be figured out for you. If you want to ensure that the correct route is being used, all right, you can use the begin route form helper method instead. To demonstrate, the author says we've added a new route to the app start route config file down at the bottom here. Well, that's interesting. It took all right, the author mentions if I call the begin form method with this routing configuration, we'll end up with a form element whose action attribute contains a URL, which is created from the default route. All right. Then in the listing that's on the bottom half of page 607, right here, it says you can see how we've specified how to use this in the create person CSHTML method. So we are going to again come in and change our using statement in our custom helper. I'm sorry, that's in our CSHTML file. And we don't need that. All right. Doesn't look that different from what was in there before, except we're now specifying the route that you can see here on page 607. And they mention this produces the form tag. So let's go ahead and let's do a file, save all. Let's run this again. And once we do, we will right mouse click on our results and choose view page source. So again, we have to change this to home, create person. All right, should come up momentarily. All right, right mouse click, choose view edit page source, and this form tag. All right, you can see what's all in there. The action attribute now corresponds to the structure of the associated route. Okay. All right. Bottom 2/3 of page 608. An HTML form is of no use unless you can create input elements. Table 21.6, which is the bottom half of page 608, shows the basic HTML helper methods available to create input elements and gives examples of the HTML they produce. For all of these helper methods, the first argument used is set to the value of the ID and name attributes for the input element, and the second argument is used to set the value attribute. So the first is the name attribute, the second is the value attribute. Each of these helpers is also overloaded as mentioned here on the top of page 609. The table shows the simplest version, but you can work with other versions also. So the author says we can see how these were used in figure 21, 22. So we're going to go into our create person again and notice we're now using, or what we're now using, text boxes. It's giving me errors, so let's see if there's, okay, well hopefully it'll be one of those types of errors that'll clear themselves up. It says you can see the HTML elements that this view produces in 21-23. The output is similar to the original, but you can see some hints of the MVC framework have appeared in the form of some data attributes that have been added. Well, let's try this. File, save all, let's run it. See if I'm going to get errors here or if this is going to clear itself up. /home/create person. All right, we're getting an error. As it says, it has no applicable method named textbox, but appears to have an extension by that name. Well, what does that mean? That means I could have missed something. Thought that I replaced everything that was in the create person HTML. I'll tell you what, I'm going to try to track this error down, and I'm going to pause because we're only at 7 minutes. All right, I'm going to let you let you watch me as I attempt to fix this error. This was the actual error that came up. I'm not going to read it to you, but you can see it up there. All right, and I'm copying the error. I'm going to go into Google, ASP.NET error. I'm going to paste it in and hit enter. All right. It looks good, or like a good start. It says you are using dynamic types and extension methods, which is not supported. Cast the types to actual types and it will work. Well, he says I tried doing that, cannot convert type string to int. The answer doesn't address the real issue. The code works in other projects without casting, just not in this one. The fix to the problem says at the top we added this, @model my model. All right, we'd forgotten to do that. So do we have anything like that? First of all, let's stop the run. So @model, and I'm not sure what to add there, to be honest with you. Well, the only model we have is person. Don't think that's going to be it, especially if we do get an error, which we did. That's it right there. All right. All right, they said we forgot to use the at model. So the hope would be that putting that up there would fix it. All right, you notice now the errors are gone. However, I've got a different error because person is the wrong thing to put there. So we need an at model. Just changed it to string, thinking that might fix it. I don't know. File, save all, and let's try to run it again. We still may get an error. There still may be an error. It may not give us the correct output. I don't know. Home, creates person. Yep, see, we're still getting an error. String does not contain a definition for person ID because the person ID, that's an int. And no extension with the type string could be found. I think if we tried both of them, I don't think it would work. I don't think you could add two of them like this. And if I kept it as int, I was going to say that might fix this one, but not the other ones. I'm going to keep that as string. And I'm going to try, I doubt if this would work, but how about dot to string? Doesn't like that. Can we come in and cast this as an int? No. And I've managed now to screw up and have errors for everything that we've got in here. Whereas when we first did this and we put in at model string, it got rid of the errors here, here, and here. All right, well, now look, it's got int there. File, save all. Stop the run. Start the run again. Again, I'm not even going to claim this is going to work. We may just very well end up running into a different error. And you can see we are. It doesn't like that either. It says string does not contain a definition for person ID. So you can see even though we tried doing this, it didn't work. Now, I mean, I'm trying what I would call hacks. All right. So one thing we could do would be to just comment this out. This is a bad hack, I think, to be honest with you. But I'm going to do a file, save all, and I'm going to run the program. But notice now I'm getting errors here. So it's, you try to fix one thing, and it's like you're creating another problem. Okay? So come back in here and remove those comments. All right. And it's funny too, I keep getting the errors, but as soon as I remove that, type it in again, the errors appear at least, or appeared to go away. Nope, they didn't now. Well, I'm going to go on, and I'm on page 610, and I'm also at 15.5 minutes. So I'm going to stop it right here, come back in the next lesson, talk about generating the input for a model property, and then get into talking about some strongly typed input helpers. All right, there should be 1 or 2 more lessons left in this chapter.